Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates. ARHQ.com is the website. The phone number 419-794-3030. When people retired with a 401k in the past, they were often told to roll it over into an IRA, but now more and more people are keeping their money in the employer's plan even years after leaving the job. The reason behind that is that they give is 401ks, they're exposed to more investing options at lower fees. What are some of the questions that should be answered before people decide what to do with their 401k at retirement? And how do you guys help out, Nolan?
Well, you definitely have choices today when it comes to a 401k. And really, you can kind of break those choices down into four categories. Number one is you have the ability, if your account meets a certain balance, typically it's over $5,000, where you can leave your 401k where it's at. There's nothing then that requires you to take and transfer your 401k. The second thing that you could do is you could take and cash out your 401k, meaning the company would close out the balance, take taxes, and then send you a check. It's just traditionally one of the worst things that you could possibly do. Can create a big taxable issue. If you go get another job, you can transfer that balance typically into your new company-sponsored retirement plan. So you can consolidate them together. Or the fourth option is transfer it in this case, to what is called a self-directed IRA. The first thing I think you got to do is you got to look at what are the choices that are offered within your plan. So one of the things that was mentioned there is more plans are having more choices today. And I would say that generally is true, but that doesn't mean that your plan offers you the choices that you want to have. I'll give you a good example. Met with somebody recently, and with Heather in her plan, she had her money and her choices were either put the money into bond funds, into stock funds, or like a stable value money market account. And so she had a traditional, what I would refer to as target date investment. So the thought process behind that is as Heather gets closer to retirement age, her risk level comes down and it allocates more from equities into bonds, moving more into fixed income. The challenge about that, as we've talked about on the radio show over the last couple of years, is in a declining interest rate environment like what we were in, those bond funds had interest rate risk associated with them. And now that, interest rates went up dramatically, those bond funds really in the open market got hurt. In her case, utilizing some fixed income investments, whether that's a money market account, that could be an FDIC insured bank CD, that could be a fixed annuity with a fixed rate of return, and locking in decade level highs, reducing the interest rate risk that she had in her portfolios, was a way to help, talk to her about different investment choices. She was somewhat limited overall with the plan. Does your plan allow the flexibility on withdrawals? Some plans allow you to take withdrawals out once you reach the age 59 and a half, and then you have more choices associated with it. But if you take your old 401k balance and you move it to a new company-sponsored plan, and you take all that balance and move it over to the new plan, if the new plan doesn't allow age-based rollouts after the age 59 and a half, you could be just stuck with the limited choices that are offered with inside of the plan. So you want to do your research, again, before you kind of consolidate the plans that are out there. How is your plan being adaptive to the market? In many situations, you're in charge of your own money. Sure, maybe somebody comes in and does a presentation once a year, twice a year, but is that advice that you're getting customized to your situation? I can think of a client, Julie, who had come in. Julie was only a couple of years away from retirement time, and her investments were allocated and they were set at a risk profile of 60. So we do an independent portfolio analysis. We take a look at what our investments are. We measure them from 0 to 100, with 100 being the highest risk. Her portfolio is set at a 60 level risk. Now, the way that she had her money invested, unless Jane or Julie goes into her plan and makes those changes, the portfolio is going to always be running at a 60 level risk. Based upon the market conditions that are out there, she might want to have a plan that's more adaptive and can be more actively managed. And so in a traditional IRA, she could have different investment choices that allow for more active investment management if she didn't want to leave her plan on cruise control. And cruise control for some people works out great. But for other people that are either closer to or in retirement time that have different goals and objectives, an IRA could offer more flexibility to have a customized plan. I mean, no different than a gentleman that I met with talking with Matt. What Matt had is he had all of his money in equities. And, Matt still has time on his side. So I think equities over the long term still give him the greatest growth potential. But within his 401k, if he had the broad based market, meaning he got the entire stock market index, which means he gets all the good and all of the bad with the portfolio. That, again, can be a good strategy for longer term investing, but utilizing a defined investment approach that could be offered in a self-directed IRA. Maybe he wanted to have higher dividends in his portfolio. Maybe he wanted to be more selective on what investments that he owns, such as individual stocks in the portfolio. I know cryptocurrency is an example of something that's recently been more adapted by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So maybe he wanted more flexibility, and something like that is probably years away from being offered in a 401k plan, but it's something that could be offered today in a self-directed IRA. So for those of you that have target date funds and you're wanting more of an active approach, you're wanting more of a customized approach, the self-directed IRA sometimes can be the better option. What you have to look at is also take into consideration what are the fees and expenses when you look at the 401k, and then when you look at the self-directed IRA. And fees and expenses can also be a confusing topic because oftentimes they're buried in prospectuses. So one of the things, if you have a 401k and you want to know what questions and what should I do with my 401k, let us do an independent portfolio analysis. We'll slice and dice it for you. We'll show you the ins and outs of your portfolio and help you make what could be the best decision. Keep in mind, in some of these decisions that you make with a 401k, they can be irrevocable decisions. So you want to get it right the first time. And, by getting some advice and knowing what could be your best approach is what we can do through the independent portfolio analysis and give you that customized advice is let it be, transfer it to the new plan, or maybe look at a self-directed IRA. And again, I'm traditionally going to recommend against cashing it out, paying that big tax bill now and losing your retirement balance as well.
Because as we said many times here on the show, once you write that check to Uncle Sam, that money's gone. There's not really any chance of that coming back. It's going to vary from situation to situation, obviously, but it is a measure twice, cut once situation, as many things are when it comes to retirement. Let the team at America's Retirement Headquarters help you out with that with the independent portfolio analysis, complimentary. If you have questions about, a 401k, if you're changing jobs, or just the way that you're allocated right now and you want a second set of eyes on it, that independent portfolio analysis is available by calling 419-794-3030. You can also go to the website at arhq.com. One more time, I want to remind you, a lot of great events coming up in the months ahead. You can register for your space to hold your space for these events and find out more about them by clicking on the events tab at arhq.com. Want to thank you, as we always do, for joining us here on the show, tuning in to America's Retirement Headquarters, home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. Nolan, as always, appreciate the time. And as we wrap up, I want to leave you with the final word.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody. I want to thank you for tuning in. I know recently we just passed over 500 hours of you, our viewers and listeners, enjoying different content that we have on our YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't done so, we've got a great group of you, our return subscribers and listeners. We appreciate that. If you haven't done that yet, hit that subscribe button. And just remember, when you think retirement, think America's Retirement Headquarters. It's home of the Retirement Guys Formula and America's Medicare Associates.